church basketball right now?
Not during my time. And it's too late. Yeah, it's too late. And it was surprising later I found out that the researchers actually discovered that it was like what made the difference was not the height. It was whether you have long arms and legs. And I have long arms and legs. But I'm short. Anyway. But I think, I thank the Lord, He has His own plan. That it wasn't for me to be a basketball player. And He has a different purpose and plan for my life. So I thank the Lord for that. This is a more sensitive microphone for people who are not loud. Okay. All right. As we begin, and thank you, church, for inviting me, and Pastor also. It's always a privilege and honor to be here. And in particular, coming to Siem Reap is always special for me. And Lord willing, it's not just Siem Reap, but also Talakiri and the future in other places also. But it's encouraging for me to come here, and you may not realize it, right? I think some of you, if you've been here for a few years, you start to realize, this church takes the Word of God very seriously. And there is an appreciation for, the preaching of God's Word. Okay? And the appreciation for the preacher does not come from because he is exciting or, all that. Yes, sir. But because of the content, because of what he brings to all of you. And anyone who God calls as a pastor, missionary, to preach the word, appreciates the saints who take the word of the preaching very seriously. And so coming here, it's always encouraging. Always encouraging. It was encouraging yesterday. Just now I talked about the work of the Holy Spirit, that even though yesterday I was asked to speak and I was not prepared for that in that sense, but of course I was dealing with things that were from the scriptures, so I don't have to worry about what to say because there's always something to say. God has said everything. But to come and then without any notes and to deal with subject that, for the most part, already the preachers who were there have heard this a million times. They have taught this, they have preached this. But then to see the Holy Spirit of God deal with conviction. Okay, and something? It's always a blessing, when the pastor or the preacher comes up and says, the word of God convicted me about something I need to change. Some people say, oh, he has faults. He has a problem. Oh, I'm stumbled. I need to find another church, another pastor. No. Paul told Timothy to give attendance to reading and then to studying and all these things. And he told Timothy to give thyself wholly unto them. Totally. Total surrender. If God says this in His word, then I must surrender. I must submit to it. So that thy profiting may appear to all. Okay? And this is the thing that we want to see. Okay? Anywhere, any church, that the man of God can come up and say, instead of saying, I am infallible, nobody can teach me anything. I know it all. I have all the answers, and I am perfect. Only the Pope claims that. Alright? And that's not true, because according to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, like every other sinner, they died. They had to be like the new one. Okay, but anyway, coming back to that, you want to see the pastor, the missionary grow. Not this fake shield of infallibility that I never make any mistakes, I'm not wrong, I cannot be convicted by the word of God. If you cannot be convicted by the word of God, you're dead. Yes. You are dead inside. Yeah. Alright? And sometimes it's, yes, to come out and say, I'm wrong. Yeah, sometimes it's come up and to say, I have learned something. Just as when I come up and I visit, I learn new things, even from you. I do. Alright? And that's how we are a saint, because we are growing, because we are alive. Any man being Christ, he is a new creature. Right? There is a new life. Because there is a new life, and that's pictured again in baptism, Romans chapter 6. Right? We're planted in the likeness of the dead, but we also raised up in the newness of life. There is a new life, and because there is a new life, this life is unlike the life before. Right? He's a new creature. Behold, all things are become new. The old things are passed away. Behold, all things have become new. And when you examine the words in that passage in Ephesians chapter 2, it talks about unprecedented. That means this thing that's new is unlike anything before. That's why you see in any biblical conversion experience and the testimony of faith of salvation, there will be a before and an after. Before and after. Right? And that is always a testament to that something is working. Alright? In every country, in my country, for instance, in the newspapers, we always see this, that there is a weight loss program. And you pay X number of dollars or whatever, you can sign up. And they will always have a picture of the person. Before I was like this, alright? And then now I'm like this, right? Why? Because there is evidence that something happened, this thing actually works. Alright? And all things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. And the word there, right, I'm not even into my message, but the word there says behold. What does the word behold mean? You can see it for yourself. Okay? The amazing part was for so many years we all memorized that passage. Very few of us noticed the word behold. Sometimes the word of God is staring at us. It's right under our nose and we miss the obvious. So you can see it for yourself. And how say some preachers, wow, you don't really know, you can't really tell for sure who is saved and who is not, and whatever. God himself says, behold. You can see it. Yeah. Alright? Anyway, let's move on to something, and I realized last night we forgot something very important. Today is Mother's Day. Amen. Alright? And yesterday we celebrated a new wife, right? Mrs. Matlang Awar II. And Lord willing, she will be a what? Mother too. Alright? And by the way, just very quickly, if you look at Romans chapter 7, and this one is the bonus freebie that I told them. I don't charge anything for it. Okay. Okay, Romans chapter 7 at the beginning. Alright, now I was talking about before we're saved and after we're saved, how we were in bondage to the law, and after that we're up to the law of Christ, right? And then it says, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law had dominion over a man as long as he liveth. For the woman which had an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. Right? Talking about before and after. I'm under the law, in bondage to the law before I was saved. And then now the only way I can go to Christ is actually there must be a death. Alright? Because it says, so then if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man. Oh, we're talking about marriage again, right? She be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. You can't just go to Christ just like that. This is called adultery. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. So there is a case here, and scriptural case for remarriage, but it always terminates what? The one flesh terminates upon death, and then now you're free to marry. Now it says here, you cannot just go to Christ, right? Because you are still married to the law. Alright, into sin. And so it says, wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead to the law by the body of Christ, that ye should be married to another. Right? And by the way, that's pictured in chapter 6 in the form of baptism, because when we are baptized, okay, in Christ we are baptized also into his death. Now, when you're baptized into his death, what happens is all the old debts are cancelled. Old contracts are cancelled. Okay, if you hate your job, you realize if you die today, tomorrow, you don't have to go back to work. You are no longer employed by the same employer because you are dead. Okay, the contract is over. Now, it says here, to come to Christ. So it says we are dead by the law, to the law by the body of Christ, that ye should be married to another. Okay? Good news, singles, you are already married according to this verse. If you're saved, you are married already to Christ. That's why there's no marrying or giving in marriage in the New Jerusalem. Alright? Why? Because it is already a marriage. You're married to Christ. But then look at the second part, very important. That ye should be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead. So we know that's Christ. That we should bring forth fruit unto God. You realize God's design, plan, and purpose for saving us was that we will be fruitful. Implication here, the direct implication is the marriage should be fruitful. Fruitful in all ways, including children. It's God's plan, God's design. Now, there are some cases where, yes, it is not possible to have children, but there are still other ways that we can have children and raise up godly children for the Lord. Alright? And here, you realize it was God's design, the natural expectation of any marriage was the fruit of children. Right? And the natural expectation of any saint who's been saved is fruitfulness unto the Lord. And also, by the way, that's what we will deal with in our camp in Singapore. Right? Fruitfulness. Okay? Alright? Let's get on to this, right? We're talking about fruitfulness, Mother's Day. Let's turn to Hebrews chapter 11. And we'll just read 2 verses there, right? Verse 30 and 31. And let's all stand and we'll just read these 2 verses together. Alright, we'll read these 2 verses, beginning with verse 30. Begin. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith, the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace. May God bless us for reading this word. Let's pray. Father, we thank you, Lord, for even bringing us here this morning, that we may be found faithful in your house, especially even for our newlyweds who have made it their priority that the first thing they do after the wedding night is to be found faithful in your house. And we thank you for that example. We thank you for that encouragement also. And Lord, that we should prioritize you as first place in our life, in all things, even after a marriage, a wedding. Lord, I pray, ask right now that you bless the reading of your word and the preaching of your word. Lord, empower me, use me as your minister, as your agent, and then Lord, as that it will not be with my own wisdom or thoughts, but Lord, it will be with the power of God. Lord, open our understanding also, and then Lord, I pray and ask for the Holy Spirit to just illuminate the scriptures, search out our hearts, and then that we will be responsive even to the preaching of the word. So Father, we thank you, we commit this time to you, in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Please be seated. Alright, today is Mother's Day, and sometimes Mother's Day can be a bit discouraging for some ladies. One, they're not mothers. 2, they can't have children. And then sometimes, we feel that, oh, maybe we don't want to offend them, or maybe we need to tone things down, or whatever. And but understand this, that no matter what condition and whatever state that we're in, I think it's important for us to learn that to be content. Right? To be content. But at the same time, sometimes when we deal with Mother's Day, one other thing that comes up is that we get this idea that, of some picture of perfection that is unattainable in our minds. Alright? So today I want to kind of just deal with a Mother's Day message from a different angle. And by the way, historically, this was started, in fact, it was the Christian lady that kicked off the idea of having a Mother's Day, and notice it's always on a Sunday. Alright? And it was actually encouraged that, in churches that they should do this, and it was in America. Alright, and so it started from there. Alright, of course today is a very different thing, very commercial and whatever. But before, it was always the place that they would celebrate this was in a church. Alright? But today I want to take a different angle, because many times when we think about godly mothers, we think about about them. We always, for many of the ladies here, you may feel like, I can never be like that. I have this problem, I have that problem, I have this, and you may get more and more discouraged. Today, I want to talk about, alright, I'm not very good at titles for messages, but I want to talk about the bad girls and mothers whom God used. Alright? The bad girls and mothers whom God used. And the first one we want to see is, the faith of Rahab. Rahab, alright? And to understand this, when we read this passage, and this was about Rahab, let's understand the background to this. Let's go to Joshua chapter 2. Alright, and we're going to look at some passages from there. And we see here, we were introduced to this person called Rahab, alright? And we see that she concealed spies that were sent out by Moses. By Joshua. Joshua sent out 2 spies to spy on the city of Jericho. Alright, look at chapter 2 of Joshua, beginning in verse 1. And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into an harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there. Alright? And so we see here that they were sent out secretly to spy out this land and the city, and they spent the night there in the home of Rahab. Now, we are told about her profession, and it was what some people call the oldest profession in the world. Alright? She was a harlot. They spent the night in a woman who had very questionable reputation. This was a home that many of the men in Jericho will know that men come in and out of that home at all hours of the night. Women will talk about her, they will whisper about her, they will gossip about her. Alright? Her name was Rahab, right? But this was a perfect hiding place for these 2 men. But they were discovered, and the king was informed. Look at verse 2. It says, And he was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. Alright, so the king knew, we've been infiltrated, there are spies among us, and they're checking us out. And verse 3 says, And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. Now, she had to make a decision, because there was a command from the king about what to bring out those men, surrender those men. Why? They are going to be arrested. They are spies. Okay? In most countries, if a spy was caught or whatever, they would execute that spy. Okay? Now, Rahab made a critical decision here in verse 4. To change her loyalties. Okay? To change her loyalties. It says, And the woman took the 2 men and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. Okay? I did not know where they came from. I don't know where they went. Alright. And verse 5, And it came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate. Right, in the evening, in the city of Jericho, as the gate was going to be shut. When it was dark, and the men went out. It says, Whither the men went, I wot not. In other words, she said, where they went, I have no idea. Okay? I don't know where they came from. I don't know where they went. Okay? But it says, Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. It says, if you rush and hurry right now, you will catch them. Alright? They just left not too long ago. But I don't know where they're going. But if you make haste, you will find them and you will catch them. Now, by the way, it's bad enough to be a spy. Okay, you'll be caught, you'll be tortured, you will be executed. But for her, it's even worse. Do you realize this? If they ever found out, she can be charged for treason. And treason is always a death sentence. Alright? But here was a very important juncture, because as we saw in Hebrews 11, you know what happened? She chose, according to Hebrews 11, by faith, she now possessed a different citizenship. This was a point of decision. Right? And she decided, you know what? No. I'm not going to remain here, and just like in the Pilgrim's Progress, if you ever read that, and you really should, if you have not, as a believer, she left, she chose, no longer to align with that city of destruction, but now to align herself with the people of God. Alright? By faith. She hid them on the roof of her house. This is verse 6. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And so the king's men pursued after these spies, right? She had given them misinformation. Alright? And verse 7, and the men pursued after them all the way to Jordan, onto the fords. As soon as they which pursued after them were gone, they shut the gate. Alright? The gate was shut, those men had gone out to pursue after these spies, and then the spies are still inside the city. Now, we see the concealment of the spies by Rahab. We now look at verse 8, and we see the confession of Rahab. Alright, now, by the way, along the way we're going to discover Rahab is a mother. She has a family, she has children, but no husband. Sometimes what's difficult for a woman in that situation is she's wondering, I wonder if I would ever be accepted as a member of this church. Because the reality is every one of us has a past. And just because I didn't tell you about my past doesn't mean that I did not have it. Every one of us, and sometimes if we're not careful, we get carried away with this thought that maybe we're not worthy. Not worthy to be a member of this church or to worship God together with these people here. The things that happen in our lives, sometimes we ask ourselves, and I'm very sure every pastor who's been saved by the grace of God, from time to time we will still be tempted with this thought, whether I'm even worthy to minister. But we see her confession. Alright? She spoke with the two spies as she hid them. It says verse 8, and before they were laid down, she came up unto them on the roof. And then here was the amazing part. She confessed her faith. Verse 9, she said unto the man, I know that the Lord had given you the land. Wow, what a statement to make. The Lord had given you the land. You know something? She believed God's promises more than many of the men and women in Israel.
Yeah.
So many refused to believe that their carcasses lay waste in graves throughout the wilderness over the last 40 years. And yet she believed that. She said, I know the Lord had given you the land. Now, one of the things that you're going to see, by the way, if you look at Hebrews chapter 11 again, and if you look at every name that was mentioned there, do you realize one thing? This is all Old Testament. Old Testament. They were not saved by works, or by works of righteousness, or by the ceremonial law, or anything. Alright? It said, in fact, no, by the deeds of the law shall no flesh be justified, for by the law is the knowledge of sin.
Amen.
Alright? No one can be justified by the law. By fact, everyone in Hebrews 11 from the Old Testament was saved by their faith, trusting God in taking His promises very seriously.
Yeah.
Now, throughout the Old Testament, one of the things you're going to see is that no, in all cases, none of them had a complete picture of the gospel. They trusted God. Whatever God said, they took it seriously.
Amen.
Adam and his wife, all they were told was this: the seed of the woman someday will crush the head of the serpent.
Yeah.
In return, her seed will be bruised. A temporary wound. Why? Because Christ 3 days and 3 nights later rose up from the grave. But He will crush the head of the serpent. That's all. That's all they need. They were given clothing as a picture of the righteousness that God will give to a lost person when He justifies them. Clothing is a picture of righteousness.
You know, the clothing issue, very simple. I go back to Genesis, I look at that in Genesis chapter 3. It's settled, you know why? Modest dressing order is a picture of my salvation. You will only have a problem with a complete covering if your salvation was a big question mark in the first place. But once I know the truth, I accept it. No, there's no question about that. But I see the picture. The righteousness that God gave to sinful man. The first time in history that innocent animals died for guilty men. That's how they got skins. That's why activist groups like PETA, what they do, they protest against women wearing fur, animal skins. And they splash you if they see you coming out of a hotel or something with blood. What a biblical picture. Blood. Because an animal, a sacrifice was offered. But you know what? Abraham was told what? Look up at the stars, and he says he was told his seed would be as uncountable as the stars. And then the scriptures tells us that Abraham believed God, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. God gave Abraham his righteousness, which is what happened on the cross, right? And for everyone who gets saved, well, he had made him to be sin for us. Notice, who knew no sin. Okay? The sinlessness of Christ, that we might be made the righteousness of God. Salvation is about receiving the righteousness of God.
Amen.
How do we access that? By faith. Trusting God completely in His promise. Now, we today have a clearer picture than what many would have in the Old Testament. But Rahab believed that promise that God had given to Israel, that they will come in and they will possess that land. She took it very seriously. And then it says, and that your terror is fallen upon us. Now there is an interesting picture here also, because many people are afraid of the consequences. Just as the people living in Jericho, they were afraid that the Israelites were going to come, that God was going to give them the land, that they will lose their city, that they will be destroyed. Then terror was fallen upon them. It says that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. Many people are afraid of going to hell, but very few will ever come to Christ by faith. They're afraid of the consequences. They're afraid of what will happen, but you know what? They're not going to humble themselves, submit themselves to God, and come to Christ. And here, she confessed, yes, all these people believe. See, that's why belief is not enough. They believe that this was going to happen. They know it. But she said, you know what? She went one step further. Alright? I'm going to put my faith and my trust in the God of Israel. God had promised this land to Israel. And in fact, He promised He would send fear to them before they entered the land. Look at Deuteronomy 2:25. You know what's amazing? It says, this day will I begin to put the dread of thee and the fear of thee upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of thee and shall tremble and be in anguish because of thee. You know, before they even entered the land and to begin the conquest under the leadership of Joshua, God sent fear into the hearts of all these inhabitants there already. And yet, you know, what was the stumbling block in Israel at the time? There is no way that we can take on those giants who are up there, behind those big walls, and those cities. I said, you know, I'm going to prepare. I'm going to prepare the ground. Because when God stands on our side, nothing can stand against us. Romans 8 verse 31, you know this passage. What shall we say then? Then say to these things, if God be for us, who can be against us?
That's right.
Alright, now the reasoning was this, verse 32. He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things?
Amen.
Right? God did not even hold anything back. He offered His only begotten Son for us at the cross. He says, why would God hold back anything for you and I?
That's right.
And she confessed the testimonies of the Lord. Look at verse verse 10, right? We're still in Joshua 2. Therefore, we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when he came out of Egypt, and what he did unto the two kings of the Amorites, and that were on the other side Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And then, most importantly, look at the next part in verse 11, because she confessed that there is only one God. Only one God. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Okay?
Right.
But that's not enough. Because fear, like I said, many people are afraid of dying, afraid of going to hell. But she went further. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven and in earth beneath.
Right.
She acknowledged the power and the might of God, and that he is your God, right? But she claimed him for herself. By the way, this passage was interesting because in studying this, I realized Rahab went from taking a position that this is the God of Israel, to now she said, this is the God of heaven above and earth beneath. There's a difference there, because before she was saying, your God. We have our gods, you have your God. But now she says, no, he is the God, heaven and earth.
Amen.
And she turns to him as her only hope. Verse 12. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have shown you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, that ye will save me alive, my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. Now, Rahab, this woman, everybody knows her reputation. She's a harlot, a prostitute, had an immoral lifestyle, and that is how she makes her money, and that's how she feeds herself and her family. In a city that probably doesn't think it's a big deal anyway. It's just the lifestyle of the people there. It's just another form of entertainment. And here in these passages, she clearly understood this city was marked for destruction. She believed what God had promised, that this was going to happen. And she understood that she and her family members would perish when this happened, unless they could be saved. There is a picture here, the same thing of how when the sinner comes to God, when he confesses, right? When he confesses, he agrees with God, I am marked for destruction. That I am no different from the worst criminal sitting in a prison right now in Phnom Penh. Okay, now I pointed this out to people before, and to young people, and they said, huh? I asked them, do you understand that you're a sinner? Do you realize you are no better than the worst criminal sitting in our prison right now waiting for execution? What? Like that? Why? Because they don't see it the way God sees it. That we are wretched sinners. We're so wretched that God has no choice but to destroy us unless we're saved. Most people see it as, well, I am not so bad. Okay, I'm a sinner. I have my faults, but I'm not as bad as Judas. Look at him. Okay, that's how most people look at it. Just like the man that the Pharisee that went to the temple, I'm not like that deed. I'm not like that man over there, that publican. All right, and our understanding of sin is not horizontal. It's always vertical.
Amen.
How will God judge me according to his standard, rather than how do I fare, let's say, compared to everybody else? Now, here, what happens is that she understood that this was not something that she could buy. That's why she didn't demand. They said, I'm entitled to this, right? Because I helped you guys, so you guys owe me. She threw herself at their mercy, seeking grace, because she believed God was going to deliver on his promise to Israel, and the same God that brought them across the Red Sea, all right, will be able to save her and her family from destruction. So this is totally amazing because she took God more seriously than most of people in Israel. We see her confession. We now look at her commitment. Verse 14. Right? The man offered her an agreement as to sparing their lives. Right? Verse 14. And the man answered her, "I'll lie for yours." Then they gave one condition: if ye utter not this our business, don't tell anyone what happened. And it shall be, when the Lord had given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. So then she helps them to escape, right, from by a rope from her window down the wall of the city. Now look at verse 15. Then she let down a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall, which is why they didn't have to worry about going through the gate, because even though the gate was shut, she lived by the wall, and there was a huge, a high wall, very thick, but she had a window there, and then they could go down. Okay. Side remark here. See, windows have a lot of security holes. You use your computer now. Anyway, but it says, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. And she said unto them, "Get you to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourself there 3 days, until the pursuers be returned, and afterward may ye go your way." Alright, now they reminded her, keep the commitment, this thing, to hold fast to that. The man said to her, we will be blameless of this thine oath, which thou hast made us swear. Alright, behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window, right, all the way down, which thou didst let us down by. So now the rope is very interesting. This rope, apparently, that they climbed down was scarlet red. Alright, red. Just like the blood of Christ. The scarlet thread. There is a scarlet thread and trail of blood going down from the very first New Testament churches all the way to where we are today. And here, this was the promise. It was a picture of the redemption. This thread in the window which thou didst let us by, he said, "Thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brethren and all thy father's household home unto thee." She wasn't just concerned about herself, but also her family members, right? And she was to gather everyone back to her home and remain there for their protection. Verse 19 is, "And it shall be that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thy house into the street, his blood shall be upon his head." Now the condition was what? That others, all the family members should remain in that home, under the protection of that home. Alright? It says, if anyone wanders out and they get killed, this is too bad for them, that's their problem. It says, his blood shall be upon his head, and we will be guiltless. And whosoever shall be with thee in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand be upon him. Right? And again, she was sworn to secrecy, because verse 20, "And if thou utter this our business, then we will be quit of thine oath, which thou hast made us to swear." Right? If you ever reveal this, the deal is over. Verse 21, "And she said, According unto your word, so be it. And she sent them away, and they departed, and she bound the scarlet line in the window." Right? You notice something? I want to notice something here in James chapter 2, verse 18. You know, saving faith is not just mere belief. It produces works. Yes. Right? It produces the right kind of fruit. Yes. Many, according to her own testimony, many in Jericho believed. They believed that God was going to bring Israel into the land, to possess the land, and destruction was coming, but that's it. They didn't do anything about it. But Rahab could not save herself or her family. Okay? But what she did saved them, because she threw herself at the mercy of God. Again, there is a picture of salvation, because to submit yourself fully, completely to God, put ourselves at His mercy, because right, He can either destroy us or He can save us. But we surrender ourselves. She gave up on any other hope. Alright? And James 2 verse 18 puts it this way, yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. But James points out, show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Why? Because the right kind of saving faith will produce the right kind of fruit.
Amen.
She believed, she held to that promise, she was committed to that. Now up to this point, now realize this, up to this point, if the men of Israel, if Joshua or God were to break the promise, she's dead. Okay, she and the family are gone. But she held fast to that, saying, but you promised. I'm depending only entirely on that promise. You see the collapse of Jericho. Joshua 6, verse 15. The men marched around Jericho in silence 7 times on the last day, and then blew their trumpets, right? And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day and compassed the city. After the same manner 7 times. They went round 7 times. Then only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. Now the previous times was only 1 time around the city. Now it says, and it came to pass at the 7th time when the priest blew the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, shout, for the Lord had given you the city. Alright? They went around in silence for 6 days, and then on the 7th day, after circling the city 7 times, they shouted. And what happened? Verse 17, this impregnable city was destroyed. How? Because God said so. By His power, nobody had any equipment or instruments or explosive or anything like that, no bombs or whatever. By the power of God, by the promise of God, it was destroyed. It says verse 17, and the city, right now we jump down to verse 17, right? The city was destroyed, and the city shall be accursed. This was Joshua's instructions. Shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord. Everyone was marked for destruction. Only Rahab, the harlot, shall be. Wait, time out. Don't you know what kind of woman she is? Don't you know her background? She has a past. Do you know what kind of reputation she has? You know, there are so many nobles, so many good, fine people over there, and they're all going to die, but you are going to keep this immoral woman alive? Wow, that's going to cause a scandal. So she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messages that we sent. Now this was so serious, alright, this curse. Israel was instructed, you know how bad this was in the city? Israel was given specific instructions not to touch anything in there. Look at verse 18. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing. We're going to talk about separation tomorrow. You know they were told, don't touch anything, keep yourselves from it, lest ye make yourselves accursed. You see that? Oh, wait, hang on. I thought it was the other way around. I'm holy, we are the people of God, and anything that we touch will become holy. You know, it's just you don't touch it, you don't be careful, because why? Lest you make yourselves accursed, when you take off the accursed thing and make the camp of Israel accursed and troubled. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated, dedicated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. That was the only exception. Verse 20 says, the city, the walls that collapsed when they blew the trumpets. It saw the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat. Notice, fell down flat, straight down. Okay, now in modern day times we see this, when it happens, it's usually because of a very carefully planned out, well-controlled explosion where the foundation will weaken in a certain way and everything just crumbles straight down. It doesn't fall this way or that way, fell down flat. Alright? And here it says, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. Now, up to that point, you will notice in the account, the people of Jericho, now for 7 days, they seen them going around the city. Nobody shot any arrow, nobody fired at them, nobody went out to attack them. They laughed. They were confident that behind this shield, this wall, nothing could touch them. In this life today, many people, they're confident in what? My bank account, finances, my stocks and shares, all the property and the land that I own and the houses, and we are very confident behind that shield. Nothing in this life will touch me. The rich man said, well, so thou has what? Many things, laid out many things. He said, and the rich man said, he could live on for many years, and he said, so just relax, take thine ease and rest. And then, you know what happened? Jesus said he was a fool. That night, he would lose it all. In that split second, the walls just collapsed. Everything came crumbling down. A total destruction, total collapse. That's why the Psalms were told about how God had set for the lost and the wicked, their feet right in slippery places. You know what slippery is like? Sometimes we have to be careful when we're walking around, because when it's slippery, the next step, and you're down. Alright? All it needs, just one step in an instant. Look at verse 21, because this is so scary. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city. And when you look at the destruction of the cities in Canaan, Jericho stands out because of the extensive destruction. They destroyed what? Both men and women, young and old. Okay, now up to that point, okay, you've seen that in some of the other accounts. Ox and sheep and ass with the edge of the sword. And years ago, I was looking through, there was some commentary about this. The commentators speculated, why did they have to do this, which was different from the other cities? It says, man, woman, young and old, ox, sheep, all were defiled. Can you imagine how wicked it is? That they were defiled to the extent, we can't do anything with them. We can't use them or anything. So they were all destroyed. There was a charge to rescue Rahab and the family, right? Chapter 6, verse 22. But Joshua said unto the 2 men that had spied out the country, go into the harlot's house, and bring out thence the woman, and all that she had, as ye swear unto her. Verse 23, they went in and they rescued that family from destruction, and the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had. And they brought out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel. Alright, they put them outside the camp of Israel, and they burnt the city with fire and all that was therein. That was a total destruction. Only the silver and the gold and vessels of brass and of iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. Now, remember her house, where was her house? It was on the wall. And the wall came down. Somehow, by God's grace, they were not killed in the process. Imagine how high up they were on the wall. And then, boom, everything went down. And yet, they go right up there. They saw the identifying mark, that scarlet thread, that marked up. They knew exactly which way they were going through. Just as the scriptures will tell us, the Lord knoweth them that are His. And then that everyone, the name, I think it was depart from iniquity. Those who bear the mark of Christ, we are given a very clear instruction. You depart from iniquity. You have nothing to do with it. Amen. Here, what happened was this. They went in, they rescued her and her family. Hebrews never told us what it was by faith. She placed her trust that God would preserve her, that God will keep His promise to her. Alright? Verse 25, and Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelled in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent out to spy. Joshua sent out to spy out Jericho. Right? Joshua pronounced a curse if Jericho was ever rebuilt. Right? Verse 26, and Joshua adjured them at the time, saying, Cursed be the man before the Lord that riseth up and buildeth this city Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. Right? So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. Okay, now I don't have it in my notes here, but I will just go back to Hebrews 11, right? Verse 30 and 31. Now look, it says, by faith the walls of Jericho fell down. Whose faith was that? It was Israel, right? By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down. 6 days they went around, once each day. On the final day, they circled the city 7 times. When they shouted unto the Lord, they had no, they did not have a whole wall of giant speakers and a huge amplifier, and then when they shouted, it was the noise that knocked down the walls. No. They trusted one thing. Each day, they did something so ridiculous. Okay? Right? People were laughing at them. Just as people laugh at us today. So ridiculous. And then on the last day, when they shouted, it was exactly, we are trusting God and His promise that we will preach. Like today, we will preach the cross. And that the preaching of the cross is foolishness to them that perish. That God will do something. By faith, the walls fell down. And then it says here, after they were compassed about 7 days, by faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies of peace. Now, going back to what in Joshua chapter 2, what we saw was this. They believed that the city was going to be destroyed. They believed that the Israelites were coming. They believed that God was coming for them. But Hebrews 11 points out that they believed not. It wasn't a saving faith. But for Rahab, what happened? Her family was saved. Now, by the way, coming back to the title of the message, she's one of the bad girls in the Bible. But did you know now you go to Matthew chapter 1, and what do we see? The genealogy. So and so, we get so and so, so and so, we get so and so, so and so, right? And most of you, what do? You skip over all that and then you move on, right? Okay. You can confess your past later. Okay, we're all Catholics for next one. No. Now, we skip over that, but when you study that carefully, I believe the other genealogy was in Luke. Name after name was a man, except 4, which were women, who were Gentiles, not Jews, not Hebrews, Gentiles. And you notice most of them were bad girls. Wasn't it? We have Tamar, right? The Shebas, all the bad girls. And yet, when you look at the genealogy, what do you see? Rahab has a place of honor because she was, I think, the great-great-grandmother of David the king. And going down the generations to Christ. Because her new life began that day when the walls fell down. And even though she could not immediately be accepted into the camp of Israel, they were still outside. She lived on as a citizen in Israel. And became, was in the direct line, came as an ancestor of David the king. The other woman, down that line, in the immediate line after Rahab was Who was it? Ruth. A Moabite woman from a country, a nation that was known to be what? Sexually immoral. Women in particular. They specialized in seducing men. Imagine that was a skill. And yet, each of these women had a very special place. They were mothers, by the way. And I want us to get this picture here, that when her new life began, it was no longer Rahab, the harlot. And a woman like her took a special place of honor in the genealogy. And ladies, can I say this because especially moms and wives, many times you beat yourself up because you keep comparing yourself to someone else. Now, I cannot be like that, the so-and-so's wife. I cannot be like so-and-so's mother. I'm not like that. And you have so many unwritten expectations of yourself. And men, you're not doing a good job of assuring them that you're doing a good job. You're okay. I love you. I accept you. You are my wife. I chose you. Right? I honor you because you are the mother of my children. Because they won't tell you this, but it is in their heart and it's eating at them that, I'm no good. Every time something happens with the children, I'm a terrible mother. I'm a failure. The dinner didn't quite turn out right. I'm a terrible wife. I can't even cook this properly. Whatever. And yes, listen, many of these things you will get better. You will improve with practice, with with picking up and working on the skills. But notice something here. Sometimes we have a past. But if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. New. And what is new and what God had made clean, thou shalt not call unclean. And no matter what accusation there can be, and the devil will be accusing us over and over and over again, over. You can't do this. Look what you did before. Look at what look at your past. You think you are something. I don't think I'm something at all. I'm nothing. I'm glad that God can use a nothing, because God could even use a donkey to preach. Yeah. If you can use a donkey to preach, I think He can use me. And here God used her. But we need to move on because we have one more bad girl to deal with. Alright? The failure of Bathsheba. It didn't start out well with her. Because the first time we were introduced to her, and she had showed up in the scriptures, and she was taking a bath naked on the rooftop. Got into an adulterous relationship with David. She got pregnant. That was a baby. And then we see there was a curse on David's child. Because in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 15, and Nathan departed unto his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick. Now, this is interesting, because the scripture here makes it very clear this is not David's wife. It says the wife of Uriah gave birth to a child, and this was David's child. And I love the scriptures for one thing. God, in using the scriptures, is very open, very direct, very blunt. When you look at the genealogy, what you will notice is this. When Bathsheba was mentioned, God points out who was the wife of Uriah. Can you imagine David, who is in the presence of the Lord? I cannot imagine. I probably cringe every time someone reads my name and then points out, I took somebody else's wife. Lord, why do you do that? Can you just give me a break? But points out, the scriptures points it out very directly, very plainly. And here it says, this child that Uriah's wife gave birth unto David was very sick. Because this was conceived out of an adulterous relationship. Okay, God's not going to mince words here, even though David was a man after God's own heart and all that, he doesn't play favorites. We see the cry to God to save David's child. Verse 16, David therefore besought God for the child, and David fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth. The elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. Right, for the life of the child, he fasted, he prayed, and he threw himself at the mercy of God. He humbled himself as king. Here, we're talking about how he was, he had gone into sackcloth and ashes, humbling himself before God. Right, he would not even get up to eat. He continued to plead with God for the life of his child. I wonder how many of us plead with God over and over and over again for the salvation of our children. So many parents want to see their children baptized. They're not very concerned about the salvation of their kids. Why is that? And we call ourselves Baptists. They get mad at the pastor for not baptizing them, but when you want to deal with the kids and ascertain whether they're saved or not, or whether they understood the gospel, no, you're not talking to my kids. They're saying, I told you so. Right? Now, he pleaded night and day. David would not let the matter go for 7 straight days for the sake of his little child. Now, he knew he was a sinner like the rest of us. He made his mistakes. He had sinned against God. But here, this child was born of an adulterous relationship. Alright? The mother who did wrong also, and she made the mistakes. And David pleaded with God and said, have mercy. Save this child. It's my son. Don't let him perish. Don't let him die. And we see the confirmation of the child's death because it came to pass, verse 18, on the 7th day, that the child died. And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. For they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? There is nothing, I don't think there is anything on earth that can comfort us as a parent on the death of our child. Any one of us here, if we have ever lost an unborn baby or child, the pain is something you cannot imagine. I would rather lose a child in an instant than for you to be in my shoes to see your child die slowly. It's been 8 years now and more. And maybe I have another 20 more years. But every day, every year, you will see it progress. One step closer, 1 foot closer into the grave. But here, what happened was this. David knew something had happened. Verse 19, when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, is the child dead? And they said, he is dead. When we look at the next verse, and David did something that surprised him. And David arose from the earth and washed and anointed himself and changed his apparel and came into the house of the Lord and worshiped. And worshiped. And he came to his own house, and when he required, he set bread before him, and he did eat. The fast was over. He went into the temple he went in to worship God, to give thanks. It's confused everyone because in verse 21, then said the servants unto him, what thing is this that thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while it was alive, but when the child was dead, thou didst rise and eat bread. And again, we see David's confidence in the Lord. Because he said in verse 22, while the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, who can tell whether God will be gracious to me that the child may live? But look at his confidence. But now he is dead. Wherefore shall I fast? You can't do anything for the dead. Dearly beloved, you understand that you cannot do anything for those who are departed or dead.
Yeah. Right.
You cannot, this is Mother's Day, right? You cannot do anything for your old, sick, and dying mother when she is gone. Don't waste your time standing by the casket or the coffin, crying and saying, oh, I wish I had spent more time with you. Oh, I wish I had said I love you more. Oh, I wish I had visited you more. You know what? You should do this while she's alive.
Yeah. That's right.
You should obey her, listen to her, honor her while she is alive.
Amen.
And David said, you know what? He's dead. Why should I fast? He said, can I bring him back again? No, you can't. But look at this assurance. I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. I shall go to him. You know, it says, David is saying, one day when I die, I will see him. Mom, every child, mom and dad, okay, every child that we have lost, that was unborn. I have 3. I have 4 kids right now. I have 3 I have never seen. I shall go to them one day. They're not going to come to me. 3 that I would never hold their hands and walk into church on Sunday. I don't even know who they are. I do know this. One of them, I gave him a name. And if it was a boy, he would become David. 2 were gone before the first one. One more between number 2 and number 3. And I remember that one distinctly because I told my pastor, I said, Pastor, I know I'm on staff. Can I ask for a few days of leave? Because I need more. I know I have lost a family member. And then, like David, I came to the place where I realized now after that, I was at peace. The Lord had given, the Lord had taken away.
That's right.
Blessed be the name.
Amen.
But here, okay, and why we are Baptists, it's also here in this passage. This is one of the only verses that really deals directly with this issue. What happens when a young child or baby dies? And David said, you know, I will go to him. He's not coming to me. David knew he would, if he died, he will awake in the presence of the Lord. He will awake in righteousness. He says, you know, I'm going to see him one day. And you know what? When I see those 3, I'm not going to see them as babies. I'm going to see them as adults.
Yeah.
And that's why there is no urgency or hurry here that we should baptize babies. Because baptism does not save.
Amen.
But we have here a very subtle, a very short, brief assurance of the Lord that, you know what, if they are gone, we will see them someday.
That's right.
And mom, if you lose one of these precious little ones and you never see them be born, understand this, it is not your fault. It is not your fault. It is not because something's wrong with you in your, something is faulty with your body. Nothing will make us more frustrated and helpless and for God to either close the womb so that we are unable to have children, or in my case, 3 times, to give us a baby, and then 1 week later, we know it's coming. But, really beloved, throughout all that, and between the tears and all that, we must come to realize that He is in control.
Amen.
And that we can submit to Him because He loves us. I say this because I testify personally that after the first two that we lost, before we had our first one, my fist was up there. Why? Why do you mock me this way? To tell us that we have been given a precious gift and then to take it away from us. Confirm that we are going to have a baby and then to take it away. And then for the Lord over the months to reveal, you know what, the problem was this: I had been demanding to be in control. Now I was seated on that throne all this time. And He had allowed this to show me that all this time I've been telling Him, I'm boss. And because of that, been wrestling for control of my life. Wrestling with God. Pushing Him off the throne. Guess what? I'm king. You want to know how helpless what it means to be helpless? Try having a baby and then not being able to conceive at all. 9 years. It was 9 years before our firstborn came. 9 years. And when she was born that day, the Lord broke my heart, broke me. Because I realized each of those times I had a fist up there. I had been denying Him the lordship that He should have over my life, because He is Lord. Even if I deny that, even if I don't make Him Lord, He is Lord. And one day every knee shall bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. But that day, that broke. Alright? And we need to realize this, that we will grieve because there is a loss.
Yeah.
Verse 24, we see how David comforted Bathsheba, his wife. Notice the passage, how it changed. For previously, the child was which the wife or Uriah bare unto David. Now look at verse 24. Every word is important. And David comforted Bathsheba, his wife. God declared. And went in unto her and lay with her. And she bare a son. And he called his name Solomon. Look at the husband. And the Lord loved him.
Amen.
Loved him. The word, the name Solomon means peace. This couple that made a mess of their relationship and their marriage have found peace with God. Tells us the Lord loves Solomon. We see the consent of the Lord. This is verse 25. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jedediah because of the Lord. You know what the name means? Beloved by Jehovah. Beloved by Jehovah. Now, I want us to realize something here. You know, there can be a turning around. Okay? Each and every one of us. I know I have friends who are pastors or missionaries where once they were bad boys. Even in Bible school, they got into trouble. And you know what happened? When the Lord turned their life around, they are the ones now who are faithful, where the top student of the graduating class is no longer even in the ministry. These people, least likely to succeed in the eyes of men, are the ones who are faithful, who risk their lives, and they continue to hold strong, even when there are death threats. And, you know, each and every one of us here, let me say this, ladies and men, we all have a past.
Right.
We all have a history. We don't need to defile each other's ears, trying to talk about who has a worse background or history. What we can do is glorify the Lord, to point out what great and mighty things He has done in your life and mine since then. But least of all, there is no need, and you don't see this in Rahab or in Bathsheba, to going back to the past, going back to the old life. Right? She is the other one, Bathsheba, mentioned in the genealogy. That's the one, the wife of Uriah. But the one who gave birth to Solomon, who is in the direct line of ancestry to the Lord Jesus Christ. There can be a second chance.
Amen.
There can be a turning.
That's right.
Right? But it begins with one thing, right? Because it's not about us. It's not about what we do. It's about faith. It's about the one who we throw ourselves at His mercy, but by His grace, He can take a mess. He can take a messy relationship and marriage like David and Bathsheba and turn that into something else. Turn that into something good. Listen, don't come to church thinking, oh, look, we're not as good as so and so, because our marriage has problems and we're very messy. Yes, I know that. Alright, and the thing is this, if we were all that perfect, you would not even need to come here. We all need help. But God can take that, and even, I thank God for Bible preaching independent Baptist churches, because if not for that, my wife and I probably would not be married anymore. Because we found our way into California, into a church like that. And while I was in a fundamental church, we were in a fundamental church before that was Baptist. It wasn't a Baptist church. And there were things that were neglected, that were not mentioned. And one of the things actually had to do with children. Okay? And I taught, and based by implication and by what was taught from the pulpit, that whether or not you have kids and how many kids you have, whether that's your own choice, own lifestyle choice and decision. Until one day, my pastor, at the time he's gone already, years later I had the honor of conducting his funeral. But one day we was waiting for the elevator, and then he quoted from Psalm 127. It says, that children are the heritage of the Lord, right? The fruit of the womb is His reward. I was like, now you tell me. But it's not his fault. He may have neglected to say certain things. He left it out, or even said that, that's your personal choice. It was my fault for not knowing the scriptures.
Yeah.
It was my fault for not knowing all the counsel of God. But that changed something in my heart, okay, for my wife as well. Because up to that point, we had cats. No children, we had cats. Nothing wrong with cats. I love cats. Okay? Our cat loves our firstborn. Okay? He will protect her, guard her, and all that. Okay? Will attack my mother-in-law, my mom, to protect the baby. But that changed because I realized it's a gift. It's a reward of the Lord. Why am I saying no? Why are we saying no? It's not time yet. We don't feel ready because it's our lifestyle. It's not. And then we finally surrender. As many as the Lord wants, how many, how few, Lord, it's your choice. You decide, not us. I wonder, because we, as Baptists, we are to be people of the book. I wonder how many of us this morning will say, whatever the Lord puts in the word, not just in the message, but whatever's in here, including, by the way, the parts you and I don't like. Are you and I willing to surrender? If the Lord said so, I accept. Rahab trusted God's promise. Because of that, she took action. Bathsheba, as much as that was a bad start, terrible way to start a marriage. Okay? God was able to turn it into something else. I wonder where you and I are today. Maybe we're in the middle of a mess. Maybe you and I came out from a very messy past. But you and I trust the Lord that if we were to surrender fully our lives to Him, that He can turn this into something wonderful, something beautiful, that will bring Him glory. But instead of trying to figure it out, let's just come with a heart and say, Lord, this life, okay, however bad it may be, however messy, and I had a lot of very serious questions about, Lord, why would you call me to the ministry? But I realized I have no choice but to obey. I'll let Him figure the rest out. That's His problem. But if He called, I surrender. If He is dealing with you and I on some issue in our life, if He's pointing the way forward, then let's just surrender. How? That's not your problem. By faith, we trust He knows what He's doing. He knows where we should go. Let's take the next step. And then the next step. And then the next step. Alright? Every bad boy, every bad girl, you know, God can use us if we will allow Him to turn that life around into something beautiful.
Right.
Alright? Let's pray. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this time, for pointing to us certain very important truths, how you use your work of redemption to turn lives around and marriages around and even the entire nation around. I pray and ask right now, this time, that we will be responsive to you, and whatever you lay on our heart, whatever our past may be, or whatever our faults and our mistakes, Lord, we come right now asking that you do a total reset. That by the blood of Christ you erase everything and we start with you right now. And Lord, you know our failures. You know our faults. But Lord, we plead with you. We throw ourselves at your mercy. That we can start afresh because of the blood of Christ. Thank you for what you're about to do. Lord, I pray you give us grace right now as we respond to you. And that's in Christ's name.
Shall we stand up, please, and heads bowed while we're standing? We have heard the message. It is about the grace of